All right, it's this time again where I come to the warehouse. You know, the shipment for today has been done, and this is the best time I like to come back to the warehouse just to relax, sometimes reflect on how the day has gone, take a look at how tomorrow is going to look like. If I have to order certain things, this is the best time of the day. I like to do it. And one of the things I also like to do in this time is kind of touch base with my subscribers and also reflect on how this channel is actually performing. Talking about that, I kind of figure out that this channel is getting a lot of momentum. And because of that, I want to say a very big thank you to all of you. As of today, we have about 409 subscribers. And sometimes I try to picture it this way. You see, a big room with 409 people all waiting to hear me speak. This is huge. This is mind-blowing. I want to say a very big thank you because it's not easy to grow on this YouTube street. And when people stop by, you know, out of their busy schedule, you know, to watch your videos, and not only watch your videos, they go ahead and like the video and thereafter subscribe to your channel. That is something huge, and I want to really appreciate you guys. The next bus stop is to hit 500 subscribers. If you are still not subscribed to the channel, I want to plead with you. This is the best time to do so because on this channel, I tend to share a lot of behind the scenes, behind flipping PCs for profit. That being said, there's something that is on my mind I wanted to address today. It's not going to be a very, very long video. In fact, I'm going to try to keep it as short as it can possibly be. As short as it can possibly be. You see, reselling community is a very decent and big community on all the platforms. You go onto TikTok, we are well represented there. You go onto Facebook, the reselling community is well represented there. Here on YouTube, of course, you all see that the reselling community is also well represented here. Of course, the reselling community is just a subset of the larger, you know, make money online community, and there are a lot of them. There's the crypto. There are so many communities under that very huge, you know, make money online niche. Of course, I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I can tell you for free that in this make money online space, man, a lot of the subcategories have been destroyed because of the messaging that they tend to push out. People just come here. I'm going to tell you how you can make 10,000 euro a day. I'm going to tell you how you can make money even without doing anything. Of course, there are so many layers to this, but from my observation, this can well be called, you know, wrong messaging. But then in the recent time, I am beginning to notice that in the reselling community, gradually, this kind of messaging is beginning to creep in. You know, messaging telling people that you can actually make a lot of money reselling without actually having to put in the work. You know, messaging that is kind of intended to portray reselling as something that you can handle, you know, on a part-time basis and still make a lot of money. You know, like reselling is not a job. It's something you can put on autopilot, set it up for once, and then it begins to print money without you having to do anything. It's kind of sad. We take a look at this messaging. TikTok is very notorious for this, and gradually it's beginning to creep onto YouTube, especially the YouTube shorts. People promising you a lot of stuff, promising you that you can make a lot of money reselling. You do not have to do anything. All you have to do is just to order some few items, and then you can actually go ahead and make 10,000 euros a month. I'm seeing it gradually, and I felt like this is something I should talk about. You see, this is a very responsible community, and sometimes we tend to make a lot of videos. I make videos, a lot of resellers, you know, are also here on YouTube. They make videos, all intended to help a lot of people out there. Every day, I keep saying a reseller is born. Somebody sees reselling as a vehicle to actually make ends meet. You know, somebody sees reselling as a vehicle to escape a 9-to-5, a vehicle to escape a terrible boss. And whenever people like this have these ideas, the first thing they want to do is to come onto YouTube to see how they can actually start out, you know. And then if the messaging that they keep getting is that, look, this is something you can easily do in 2-3 months, you should already be smiling to the bank. You do not have to have specialized skills to just do this. It's an easy business to start. You can actually start with $0. This kind of messaging, you know, sends a wrong signal, especially to those kids that are still in very impressionable ages, because some of these kids, they listen to something on YouTube, they see the lifestyle of these people making a video, and for one reason or the other, they believe that this is something they can pull off, and sometimes they make wrong decisions based on these videos. Imagine somebody going ahead, because he saw a video on YouTube that made it appear that reselling is something that is very, very easy to pull off. Then the next day he goes to work and says to his boss, I want to quit my job because I have figured out a way that will make me make money in about 2-3 months. I'm going to just work a little bit. I'm going to go to the thrift store, buy some few items and begin to sell it. I'm going to be rich. And then he goes ahead to quit his job and then goes ahead to try to, buy some few stuff, only to realize that there's just no item to buy in the thrift stores. And when he ends up buying something, he brings it onto a platform, say eBay. He realizes that, look, you have to take your turn. It doesn't really sell like the people make it seem, all right? This is one way the messaging that we pass across can actually, influence people to take, wrong decisions. Of course, it's just a trend that I'm noticing. I'm not saying that it's already a problem that is very huge here on YouTube. But then if we do not speak about it, yes, it can equally happen. Gradually, people come to YouTube and they are going to just destroy these communities, their messaging, the way they destroy the reselling community on TikTok, all right? So this is the reason why sometimes we have to speak up. When we make this kind of videos, yes, this is not a video to tell you about what sold. This is not a video to tell you about who returned my item or how somebody tried to scam me. This is just a video I decided to put out there to tell whoever is listening that, look, there is a lot of money to be made reselling. Yes, that's not in doubt. I'm not going to sit down here now and say that you can no longer make money in 2025. As a matter of fact, if you know what you are doing, you can still make a lot of money as a reseller. But then, is it an easy thing to pull off? It's not an easy thing. Forget about what you see here on YouTube. This thing is a job. I'm going to tell you that if you want to do it right, I'm not talking about you planning to be a hobby reseller. If you want to really do this thing right, you are thinking about putting in more than what you will put in your 9-to-5 job for less returns. And you are going to be ready to, deal with that for a very, very long time. Because if you are not okay with that, you are going to go in and realize that you can no longer continue. Yes, like I said, there's money to be made, but there's a lot of work that needs to be put in up front. And sometimes you even need to have some specialized keys. But the good news is that all these keys are things you can actually learn, but it takes time to actually learn them. And sometimes when you learn these keys, there's still an element of luck in this whole game, because you go out sometimes to try to buy things, you get to the thrift store, you don't find anything interesting to buy. Then you go away, and a few hours later, the store receives new inventories, and they display these items, but then you were already there and you've left. You couldn't lay your hands on those items, and because of that, you didn't get it. And the person that was fortunate to come after you was able to buy those things. This is the element of luck I'm talking about. But then if you continue to put in the reps, network with people, try to learn new skills, try to see how you can, improve on your sourcing. Also taking a look at, sourcing online, you are actually going to improve your skills over time, and you are just naturally going to get better. But the thing is, this is not a skill that you can just develop in 1 or 2 months. Sometimes it's going to take you years. It's going to take you 2-3 years of constantly doing the same thing, constantly refining the whole process, sometimes being lucky, sometimes even losing money in the process. But if you stay consistent and constantly strive to improve yourself, constantly try to ask questions, figure out how to actually connect with people that are doing exactly what you would like to do, success is ultimately guaranteed. Perhaps I've also been guilty of this wrong messaging, which is sometimes we make videos, it is what it is. You have to attract people to click on your video on YouTube, and we put these bold figures, 5,000 euros, $5,000, $250 profit, 300 euros profit. We put it on the titles of this video because we want people to actually click on this video. But then as people come into the video, I do not fail to always tell people that, look, I am able to pull this off because I've put in years of hard work into this thing. I started selling on eBay since 2013. And ever since, I have not looked back. I've made a lot of good transactions. I've made a lot of bad transactions. I've lost money in the process. I've also gained a lot of money in the process. As much as I can, in the course of my videos, whenever there's an opportunity to always, point to the fact that this thing is not easy, but it's doable, it's something that you can actually do, I always do not hesitate to mention it, because I understand that a wrong messaging can actually go ahead, to influence somebody to make a wrong decision. I felt like this was an important thing to highlight and to plead with us as resellers that as we make videos, whenever we have the opportunity to speak about, the work that goes into reselling, let us not hesitate to talk about it. As if you are a reseller, sometimes you have to list items depending on the category in which you sell. You may have to list a lot of items to be able to get traction. All right, if you sell clothing, yes, do not expect to list 3, 4, 5 clothing on your shop and expect to be making money. You have to constantly figure out a way to constantly list items, to constantly also source for new items. This is what it is, and it takes time. If you sell computers like myself, perhaps you do not need to list all the time, because I have offers on my shop that are well over 3 years old. I do not delete them. Whenever I have new inventories for this item, all I have to do is to go in, edit the quantity, and the listing is live again. Yes, if you have the luxury of selling replenishables like myself, then this is a different kind of transaction. But if you are selling, one-off items, you need to keep going to the thrift store to buy stuff. Understand the reality of what you are actually getting yourself into. You're going to be dealing with listing challenges, and sometimes, even though an individual listing doesn't take so long to pull off, when you need to do it over and over and again, day in, day out, it could easily amount to a lot of work. And you also need to be sure that you are prepared for this. And when we make these kind of videos and we do not highlight these things, people think that, yes, this is something I can actually do because I see that it's just easy to go out, buy things and bring them home, clean them, and then list them on the platform. And then they try to do it and realize that it's not working. And sometimes they might be thinking, perhaps I didn't buy this course of this particular guru. They go ahead, they spend money buying this course. And if the guru hasn't done a good job to also highlight the fact that, look, this is a job. And because it's a job, you have to be consistent. You have to wake up in the morning. You have to do what you have to do. If the guru has not highlighted that good enough, they are going to also realize that, look, it's not going to work, because they try to handle it with kid gloves and definitely it's not working. So if we can continue to push this narrative that, look, there's a lot of money to be made reselling, but understand that you are just getting yourself into another kind of job. It's not like a money-making machine, something you set up one time and then leave it and it continues to print money all day long. It's far from that. It's also not a bed of roses. Sometimes the customers, the buyers that come to your shop could be very, very annoying. People buy your stuff and they want to return your stuff. I have a particular series on this channel just showing you items that are being returned to me. Right now, a Dell Optiplex 3010 PC is going to be returned to me, sold for 217 euros. I'm still expecting the PC. As soon as the PC gets delivered, I'm going to open it up, and if the PC is exactly what I sent to the buyer, I'm going to go ahead and debit my account to the tune of 217 euros. I have lost money shipping the item out. I have lost money, packing the item out. And I've also lost the time I used in, preparing this PC and taking it to the post office. All that is considered loss. It is what it is. This is part of the reality of what you are getting yourself into. So, fellow resellers, I understand that you guys are doing a great job. You guys are putting valuable content out there. I want to plead with you guys in the spirit of keeping this community very clean and very responsible. Whenever we have the opportunity to mention, the dark side, like I always call it, of reselling, let us not hesitate to do so. I hope this video finds you well. If it did, go ahead and click on the like button. Be subscribed to the channel. Until I see you again in the next one. Peace.